Hello and welcome to first round coverage from the 2018 Nick Hyde Memorial here in Rockwall, Texas. We have got a feature card featuring P. McBee looking good in his raincoat. Big Sexy commentary here with you, Nate Sexton and Jeremy Koling.
Well, before we should get started, I just want to go ahead and say a quick shout out. This is the Big Sexy Turniversary 1 year ago.
True.
This is where it all started at the Nick Hyde Memorial. Second thing I want to say, happy birthday, Nate Sexton.
Oh, thanks, man. It's been a great year, and I hope for many more. Hole 1 here, 347, OB fence line on the right, poison ivy long. Not a lot else to say. It's a tight gap. The rough on the left is really bad.
Yeah, the wide hyzer is available. For 347, this hole really feels a lot closer to 400 feet. It's uphill the whole way, and that's actually a really nice shot. Inside the circle is... it really seemed like a bonus for some reason. The tee pads.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can see on a hole 1, this is going to be the nicest the tees look for the rest of the round.
Oh, we've had rain for a full day before this, all day up to this point.
Yeah.
And the course is in a horrible condition, to be honest. Not to anyone's fault, but the mud is on another level.
Yeah, we're dealing with clay pits out here, and as we see Paul go with a low hyzer line, and this is looking nice, but it looks like it might skip down the hill. Oh, never mind. That's a really nice shot. Inside the circle is
very
really
solid.
Yeah, great shot there.
And the other guys on the card, I think we have the AM champion. I believe this might be him, Kyle.
Okay.
And then some local guys, I think. They usually do that at the Nick Hyde. They'll put a couple local players. So as we kind of get their names figured out,
yep,
we'll try to nail that as well as we can. But we get to see some new guys this round for sure.
And being on coverage is intimidating for someone who hasn't been on film before. I mean, that's just to be expected. But then you're playing with the world's #1 4-time world champion Paul McBeth. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of nerves to deal with at this situation. On top of that, you're going to be dealing with slipping and sliding in mud for the next 15 holes after this.
Yeah, we're actually just playing a 16-hole layout because the mud was too much on 2 of the holes. Just even getting down to access where those holes are, there are no stairs, so very difficult. Here's Paul for the birdie. And yikes.
No.
That is a dirty one. He hit that right in the middle, just turned sideways, nothing you can do.
Oh
that's
my gosh.
Spit out, folks.
Wow. And that's tough. What else can you say about that?
Sure.
This hole only had 7 birdies all day long, the entire field, and that's just crazy. There's nothing in the way really besides being uphill 347, playing like closer to 400.
Yep.
But still, that's a hole that we see on the conditions where they're nice, closer to 15 to 20 at the very minimum.
Yeah, look at his feet just sliding as he's even trying to set up for a 4-foot putt.
This is going to be a theme, guys. Get used to it. This is going to be like this all day long.
It's crazy out there. Pars for everybody on hole 1. A dejected McBee slops back to the bag. Hole 2, par 3, 468. It's really borderline par 3, par 4. Really, really amazing, too, if you can get it. Low ceiling, early, very tight gap, and then a very slopey green with water obviously in play.
In calm conditions, calm conditions? The conditions are quite calm, but in dry conditions, a really nice play is like a really wide cut backhand roller that starts off way off to the right and then slides off to the left. But there's really no phenomenal way to attack this pin. We did see an eagle too on this hole last year.
Oh no!
Wow,
that's a disaster. Off the tree and out of bounds immediately. I would re-tee if I was him.
Yeah, that's probably the best case scenario. He's going to be in a really tough spot there. At least on the tee here, you've got concrete instead of slick mud. That being said, these fairways were way nicer to throw from than these tee pads in a lot of cases.
That's a huge drive from Paul.
Yeah, that's opens him up for
he's on
circle 2.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
This is nicely done. You kind of don't need a whole lot more than that. Just get out in the field and set up your second shot. Going for the 2, you know, it's awesome if you can get it, but it's just so risky, I feel like.
Yeah, and Jones has elected to re-tee and going for that same route, which is a really scary route. I mean, if you're trying to club up or disc up in the situation and try to throw a hard shot, you have to account for the fact that your foot is going to slip and slide, and you're not going to be able to have the same timing you do on a calm day.
Yes.
Or dry day. I said that twice now.
Oh, perfect shot.
Wow.
Right
That
in
is...
the bark chips.
And the thing about this hole that's so tricky, once you get a nice tee shot, is this is one of the fastest greens that leads you straight to the water behind. The OB comes in maybe 12 meters long of the basket.
Yeah, maybe less.
And that was heading down the hill, but that was a nice tree there to stop him. He's actually maybe no more than 25, 30 feet for a birdie / par 3.
Mm-hmm.
I want to call this a par 4.
Me too. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Come on.
Man,
I think he's safe.
Yeah, that looks safe, but man, on a day like this, it's, you know, the OB lines change, you know, based on how much water we have.
Here's Paul from 62 for the Beagle.
Wow. Hits the pole directly on line. I mean, with no way to really jump into your stance there, that is such a difficult jump up from that distance uphill.
Oh, no. Oh, and he's high there, so this is going to be a big number. After the early OB, at least he didn't roll OB in the water.
And double bogey.
But I think it's a 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so this does say par 4. Okay, now we've switched.
Yeah, there was some talks about it being called a par 3, but yeah, it is indeed a par 4. And Chandler's going to walk off a bit dejected after that re-tee, but
Definitely.
there's going to be some times when you're just going to get off pace. And Kyle Tiny New, as they call him,
Yep.
in the basket for his par. And very careful about the steps you take.
Man. You gotta be. Paul makes birdie.
And if this was a drinking game, and I don't promote binge drinking, but if the drinking game was to take a sip of whatever your liquid of choice is, every time somebody took a careful step, I don't care if you're drinking water, you'd be dead by the end of this round.
Easily. Probably this front 9. Don't try it, people. We need you guys to keep coming back and watching these videos. Don't try to play this game. It's a life and death out here. Hole 3, par 4, 579 feet. A very well guarded pin. You're kind of going down the valley and back up the other side. It can be twoed by Paul and some others.
Yeah, sure.
But probably going to be difficult in these conditions. Just getting a good clean rip on the disc. This is flipping over in a way that you don't want to see. Oh, good little kick out.
Yeah, really fortunate there that one of the themes about Harry Myers Park is that anything in the rough is incredibly thick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you like. You know, if you have a course that has pretty fair, decently wide fairways, you want to have a really tough rough that punishes bad shots. And Paul's shot was high. I think that he's probably fortunate that it caught that tree because there is a path left that could have flirted with.
Definitely would have been close. Kyle going low up the middle. And there's nothing wrong with that. Perfectly straight shot.
Oh yeah, that's ideal shot right there. Take that every time. And last year we saw Eagle with a hot start. I think he was 7 down through 7 with a 2 on this hole. It might have even been more. It might have been like 8 or 9 through 9.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that's a typical Simon or Eagle high hyzer type play that the rest of us have to flex one over the top.
Here's the low skipper. Perfectly done. Great shot from Tiny.
good approach there from Chandler. And this is like a little strange spot. There's a lot of trees there, and it's like, it seems kind of open, but yeah, if you land right where Paul did, it really takes a really touchy approach shot, so really well done there.
Yeah, I think you went maybe Firebird there, just kind of a little flicker, and one skip, and get up on the green. These guys are really playing this hole well.
Yeah, nice birdie there for Brandon. And fairly routine there with the big shot over the top. Again, it really can't be overstated how tricky it's going to get as these players are throwing their backhands. One of the advantages I feel like in conditions like these are players who can throw standstills well or forehands, because the forehand pivot isn't rotating. If you're rotating your plant foot into these tees, and there's just really no way to clean these things off. We're going to be stepping in mud here coming up, not just mud, but clay that sticks to the shoes. It's going to build up on the tee pad, and your teeing surface is going to be so unsure.
Yeah, this is hole 4, one of the signature holes of Harry Myers Park, but also, unfortunately, one of the signature backups. This is most players probably waiting over half an hour here to tee off. Big par 5, huge turnover off the tee. You can go as aggressive as you'd like, but you risk going in some very deep rough, and then the final shot into the green, obviously very wooded.
An absolute crush can potentially get you to that bowl down there that you saw in the drone footage, but really the play is to throw a shot just like Brandon's done here. If that can get over that tree and past it, oh yeah, he's in great shot right there. That's beautiful. And really, you'd like to be able to get just past that bowl or in the bowl on your second shot.
Yes.
But players like Paul have been known to go big here with a huge anhyzer. And that is not a play you see a lot of people doing.
Too low.
Oh, and look at that. You will not be able to see that disc fall. That is a thick forest.
Yeah, that could be a real disaster. We'll see how tough Paul's lie ends up being. Kyle going with the low shot. He's maybe going to split this gap?
No, just keeps drifting.
No, not loving that.
Yeah, 50 feet shorter of that would have been nice, or 4 feet left. But yeah, that was that's going to make a really tricky second shot.
That looked pretty good. Just keep it up high. Hyzer into the safe zone.
Oh yeah, good shot there from Chandler. That's going to be a really nice second shot there. Maybe a little bit slushy in that fairway, but
a wee bit slushy.
Yeah.
Oh, nice little roller.
Oh, good touch there. That's heading to a great spot.
Yeah, nicely played.
Par should be salvageable from there for Kyle, hopefully.
Oh, going huge.
Oh my goodness. Look at this shot there from Chandler, and that is going to be fading off left and early. He's going to need a good plinko. Oh, he's actually out in the open field now. That's interesting, because from there, a big spike backhand or a thumber or maybe like a forehand spike can get you onto the green.
Is he up on hole 8?
There is a space between 5's fairway
and 8's fairway, kind of?
Yes. Yeah, he shouldn't be in anyone's way, I don't think.
Okay.
But it is...
some uncharted territory over there.
Yeah, I've actually found myself up there in tournament play in the past, so I know that it's you can get up and down. You just will not be able to see where you're going.
Well, if you've been there, man, you should have submitted the charts. Clearly, no one had put charts in. It's uncharted at this point. That's kind of a failure on your part.
I could be the...
Oh, this is Paul's third shot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so they missed the second shot where he had to pitch out to that spot, and then he leaned out from there.
Unbelievable.
I was trying to think of Lewis and Clark. I'd like to be the Lewis and Clark of disc golf.
Yeah, I think you got a great chance at that.
Thanks, man. Wow. If this is clean...
Go to save it?
I mean, that's just outside circle 1.
Oh, my gosh. If he saves a 5...
That would be slightly annoying and highly impressive.
Yes.
You do not get the opportunity to throw a 20-foot shot on this hole and be able to save anything better than bogey.
Yeah, that was a great shot right there.
Yeah,
they're over the basket, navigating all those trees.
And yeah, we're going to see the backhand spike hyzer plinko play here from Chandler. He's just hoping to throw and have it just hit some stuff and just drop straight down. And yeah.
Nice. Tough work for the catch cam on those shots.
Yeah, I mean, how are you supposed to find that up, especially the light yellow? And that is such an awkward angle to be able to get right up that hill and then down it so quick.
Speaking of getting up a hill, just walking to this pin. I had to grab onto branches just to pull myself up. Great try there from Kyle.
And downhill bid here for birdie for Chandler. Oh, man, just off the top.
Smooth looking putt.
And Paul, can he save his par? Oh man! Yeah. I mean, that's there's sometimes when you make a 35-footer and it feels great, and sometimes you make a 35, 40-footer and it feels like you're a superhero.
Yeah,
that would have been like superhero putt there. I mean, that awkward stance, saving the par, but
sure, just
comes up a bit short there on his effort. I believe we're gonna see a couple 5s and maybe a couple 6s. I think was that a 6 for Kyle, or to see here in the ticker. Some cool new t-shirts coming out.
Yeah, fresh shirts. I like that. Hole 5, par 3, 255. This one is short but pretty obstructed. The most common play being the low forehand, skipping to the basket, but the rough is really everywhere. It's in the way if you're a little bit off on any of the lines. You can also go with a mid-range straight at the pin, but you've got to split a pretty small gap.
Yeah, there's like 3 viable options. There's these 2 trees here in the fairway kind of are perfectly spaced to give you 3 fair options. The hyzer forehand, the straight backhand with a little bit of hyzer fade, or just going straight at it through the upright.
The flat forehand, however, not gonna be a good option. He accidentally put that a little too flat, and it just kind of cruised into the rough.
Yeah, Brandon, little bit. And
look at that mud reaction, stuck in the ground.
Oh man. And this looks like we got a forehand play. I wouldn't have been surprised to see a Innova backhand here from Paul, but
he's a Firebird guy now.
Yeah, okay. Things have changed.
He actually aced this in practice while we were warming up.
Oh wow, weird. That sounded so sarcastic.
That's not.
It was a little bit sarcastic.
It's fine, man.
Yeah, but it was also like congratulations, but not surprised to hear about Paul getting aces. I feel like, oh look at this shot from Kyle.
Nice
little root break there. Or stump break. I feel like Paul gets more aces than any of the other top pros, except for Simon when he's doing trick shots and does it on purpose. Because I think the rest of us all just try to play to park it. I think Paul might legitimately be thinking, I want to put it in the basket from the tee.
Yeah, I think sometimes you're right. Like when your putt is really on and you're a great mid-range thrower, you're throwing low speed, like Nova's mid-ranges, and you can trust that comeback. I think you have that leeway sometimes to kind of play for the ace, which is a cool thing. Paul's sliding around, see if he can make it up. Oh, wow, ambitious. Oh man.
Start drinking, people.
We nearly lost. We nearly lost a great champion.
And there we just saw our first 2 of the round so far with Paul making his putt, and Brandon is taking his time to squash through the mud.
It's about here where you start to realize, like, what sport is this? What are we doing?
No doubt. And Chandler for his par save, he's in. That is not the par save you'd like when you have a birdie putt from about 35, 40 feet.
Look at those shoes, people.
Yeah.
He's carrying 5 pounds on each foot.
Yeah, we're going to be carrying some mud patties coming up here soon. Mud pancakes is what they look like.
Yeah.
Basically like stepping in a cow pie and walking away with it on your foot. And after we finish this hole up here, and come on, Kyle, make this putt. Yeah, there you go, buddy.
Yeah.
We are actually skipping. Typically, we skip hole 5 anyways, but 6 and 7 are in play on the normal course. Here's when we jump straight to 8.
To avoid mud.
Correct.
For no other reason than to avoid mud and to avoid falling down, trying to get to and get back out.
And
of
flooding.
Where those holes are. Yeah, and it's probably flooded as well. I was not brave enough to go down there. Hole 8, 214, very short hole, but right behind the pin is a really steep hill, and in these conditions, it might be an unplayable lie.
Yeah. Also, the drone footage once again taunts us with a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a tournament average thing now. Like we look at these flybys and it's just taunting us.
Wow, just rolls it right around Mike's ankles.
That's not easy to do. And that was surprisingly long. Like with this mandatory tree that you see, you have to navigate this to the left side of this tree. If you can see, oh, this is way too straight.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like it hit solid, though. He's going to be happy about that.
If you look at the shape of this tree right up here where the mandatory is, it's all leaning left. And that's because the wind is always coming off these baseball fields. When the wind is blowing, oh, that's textbook
Perfect.
there. When the wind is blowing off the baseball fields, it is almost impossible to get your disc around this mandatory and to the basket. It just always pushes you, and it wants to go down that hill every time.
For sure.
This hole might be 214, but it is one of the more tricky, wide open feeling technical shots you're ever really going to have.
Because 10 feet long is really a big problem. You have to be careful.
Right.
Like this right here. Ooh, luckily, see that dark pit?
Yeah, that is a dark pit of despair.
If he goes in there instead of where he just went, he might not
we
get
might
his
not
disc
ever
for a
see
while.
Chandler ever again.
Yeah,
either.
for sure.
Yeah.
And if we do, he's not going to be wearing clean clothes. He's going to be really muddy if he tries to go down there.
And with all the flooding, I hear that the barracudas have moved in. So
oh, no.
Barracudas are bad for ankles and legs.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That adds a whole nother layer.
Great putt there from Paul.
Nice birdie.
Going long in the basket, maybe he was thinking ace. And it's really hard to get right at the basket, I feel like. You have to really go pretty high. Oh, Chandler.
Shoot.
The sweatpants were too high. I don't know what that means.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, in these conditions.
Yeah.
I was muddy after half a hole.
Good birdie there from Brandon. And Kyle in with his par, and Chandler will have to settle for a par here as these players move on to hole 9, which is going to produce no less than 45 minutes to an hour of a backup.
Yeah, really brutal. The backup here, 4 to 5 groups. It's a par 4, very short par 4, which is often the worst kind of hole for backups because it's technically reachable, so you have to let them clear, but it still takes forever to play because it's so narrow and so muddy, and people are taking so many kicks. A guy in my group had a lost disc, had to go back and re-tee.
Oh my goodness.
You know, the hole probably takes half an hour to play. Here's Paul with the T-Bird 3.
And he does squeeze through the first, but he gets kicked to the left on the second. We saw Paul put this tee shot under the basket last year. I remember him excitingly explaining to you about how he threw it perfect, and then we saw the FollowFlight, and it was just absolutely that.
Look at this tee pad, though. And
this is
the muddiest hole I've ever played.
Yes.
It seriously is. It's the muddiest I've ever seen.
If you haven't seen pictures yet of this fairway, I'm sure that they'll be creeping up on the internet shortly. There's so many different interesting ways that people were coming up with to navigate their footing.
It sounds like for today's round, we might be playing the short. Wow. Oh, that was a great throw.
Oh, that was so close to being
It's a good job staying in the middle. At least it's a good tree kick.
Yep.
I think we're going to be playing that short tee that you can see there at the other side of the bridge today, just to kind of try to handle that back up a little bit. Because it was such a drag to kind of get to this point in the round and then have to wait. It produces shots like that. You know, he's going to come out after waiting for 45 minutes. Then you got to step up to a very scary tee shot.
Yep.
And look at this. Look at that mud. It's incredible. Turn up your volume. There's some squishy sounds here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and you see his foot just slip as he tries to plant it. And that's going straight in the woods.
And this is one of the most brutal roughs that we're going to have, not just on this course, but really in disc golf. We don't come across too many holes where it's this thick right off the fairway. You have fairway, and then you have brutal conditions.
Yes.
And there's a few courses that are like that. JomezPro comes to mind. Idlewild is another one where it's really thick right off the fairway, but this hole is really, you'd like to be in the fairway, even if you have to throw, 1/3 the distance that you know you can, just to keep it in the middle.
Yep.
And secure yourself a guaranteed 4 at worst.
Yep.
Is not a bad play on this hole at all.
Here's Paul. Great outshot. He should be set up pretty well for the birdie.
Yeah, and even that, that crept about 15, 20 long. If you're long on this hole, these bushes aren't far in the background. They are within 25 feet of the pin. Mm-hmm. And you can be behind those and not even have a look. Oh!
Good effort.
Really nice effort there from Brandon.
Bogey there. Paul for the birdie.
There's that par/birdie.
Mm-hmm. It feels pretty birdie-ish on this particular day.
Well, I mean, after all that's going on with the backup, and
I think Drew Gibson might have tooed it.
Drew Gibson did to us, yes.
So shout out there. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, big time. It averaged 4.22. I mean, it averaged over par. But yeah, Drew was the only 2 of the day. I saw his shot, and you could tell that was an excited member of the disc golf family. As that thing was going right down the fairway, he was hooting and hollering.
Hole 10, par 4, 456 feet. Going straight up the middle, and then you've got sort of a obstructed upshot where you've got to skip it around to the right and then try to find this green without sliding down the hill.
And this is a true par 4, and this only averages slightly more than the previous hole, which actually kind of surprised me. I feel like this hole would take less high numbers. Mm-hmm. And this is what you want your tee shot to look like.
And just take note of how he uses footwork. In this muddy conditions,
right.
He went so slow with the feet, and that is just a great pro move.
Right.
Being able to trust his timing.
Yeah.
If you try to use your normal cadence on tee pads like this, you're going to have a lot of slips.
Yep. And this is the tee pad to watch out for. Brandon, that was just a little bit tight. Had that been a foot wider, we might have seen a look at the pin from there. But we just came off the muddiest hole in the history of not just disc golf, but of
sports.
Like mud wrestling has less muddy pits.
Yeah, sports.
Yeah, it is just really a rodeo of mud, and it's really difficult. You come to the next tee pad, how do you throw your next shot? I mean, you can try to knock the dirt off, but then that clay is glued to your shoes.
Yeah,
it's shoe glue. You
Very
could replace
conservative
it with,
from Kyle there, just chipping up. Now he set himself up for the forehand, but he's not quite. This OB line that you see is not in play for this hole, so don't worry for Kyle. He is not out of bounds. But the next hole, to protect this fairway, you can't come back crossing that line.
And that is looking a little bit tight. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be a tricky 12-foot putt.
I'm going to say there is a 50-50 chance we might not ever see Chandler once he goes down there.
He's playing with that risk quite a bit.
Yeah, he has been, but this one I think is a little bit more definite that we might not see him.
Okay, well, it's been nice watching him while we did get that opportunity.
Yeah,
Let's
it's been a
remember
pleasure.
to appreciate that.
And this is what that drive that Paul threw off the tee is going to get you. But wow,
whoa, what are you doing?
Not what you expect in these conditions. That ground typically holds that hyzer line pretty well and sticks, but he has gotten.
I don't want to come off as rude, but you throw a U of O duck stamp disc, and that's what you're gonna get.
That's a U of O. Do you think he does that just to troll you?
Maybe. I don't know. It's a Firebird with a duck stamp on it, so not really shocked to see it rolling the wrong way.
Sexton is an alumni of the Oregon State nature.
Yeah, the proud Oregon State Beavers.
Orange and black, not green and yellow.
Agreed. Oh, no, that's a disaster putt. That could go pretty far down the slope.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, look, he's kind of got himself a look.
All right, so we actually he gets to keep playing.
But it wasn't an easy look. Okay, again, not as bad as it could have been.
Wow, I really expected Brandon to be 30 feet down the hill. And that's why this hole is difficult. The tee shot, not necessarily the hardest one. Keep it straight. You don't even have to throw over 320 feet to have a nice tee shot on this one. But it's the approach. It's this green and how close it is to imminent danger that makes this hole so difficult.
For sure.
And you typically don't see players like Paul with a drive like that not walk out of here with a 3. That's a really surprising result to come out of there with a par.
Definitely. It really got up and rolled on him in a weird way, especially for these conditions. He probably threw it a little bit too hard, but pretty strange for it to go that far along.
He should be throwing a mortar for the approach.
You might be right. There it is. What did we play? Did we play 9 holes or 8 holes?
Front 8.
Okay, front 8. So what do we got? Paul coming out of the gates pretty hot.
Yeah, good start.
Everybody trying to hang on against these adverse conditions. Tune in for the back 8 coverage. We got some big bomber holes, but there's going to be slipping. There's going to be sliding.
Oh, yeah. We'll check you guys out on the back 9 of the 2018 Nick Hyde Memorial.